Wilson Morales from Black Film TV talking to the one and only Mario Van Peebles regarding his latest film, Outlaw Posse, to return to the Western world. How's it going?
I'm good, brother. Thanks for having me on.
This film took a minute to make. Obviously, it's not easy to do a Western, a Black Western. What went into taking on this project?
Brother. um, it had been a minute. I did my first Western, Posse, I think 30 some years ago. And my dad was still alive. And I didn't have kids. And in Outlaw Posse, I did it with my son, Mandela Van Peebles, who's an actor and also a cowboy. And I didn't have my dad. And I thought it was interesting connective tissue that I would be, Melvin's son and Mandela's father. And to show that on-screen line between us, the legacy that we rarely see, and as my son said in the interview, because he plays my on-screen son, we didn't have to fake the funk. We didn't have to fake the love. We didn't have to fake the drama. We had to reshape it. And he's a cowboy and he rides. So that was easy. And I looked up the other day and I realized that my father had given me my first lines ever in a film. And I gave him his last lines ever in a film. Interesting circle. So I started writing the Western Outlaw Posse. And then, when I write thinking of cast. And when I met Whoopi Goldberg and we started talking about Stagecoach Mary, she's like, I'm playing her, so I can't even credit myself for casting her. I have to credit her for casting her. This is like, I'm playing Stagecoach Mary. And she plays the hell out of it. And then it, filled it out with Edward James Olmos and Cedric the Entertainer, DC Youngfly, and I call it Alan Payne from New Jack City, and of course Emmett Walsh and John Carroll Lynch and Neil McDonough. So I wanted a big, diverse cast. I wanted to see some women in the saddle this time around. And I felt people keep saying we're so divided right now. Well, we were more divided in 1908 and we overcame it. And diversity is the strength. And I thought during an election year to make a fun action adventure piece of edutainment would be a challenge that I would like to do.
You mentioned Posse, and obviously it's some 30 years apart. Why so long to still tackle this genre? And what did you learn from that particular film, making a Western that helped you out with this particular film?
Good question, brother. Well, part of it, I guess I can sort of say now, I'm not new to this, I'm true to this because I did my first one 30 years ago. But what's interesting, one of the things that's interesting is how the universe, works, I guess. And that is, you have the Van Peebles family coming out with the Western Outlaw Posse this Friday. You have Beyonce claiming her place on the country Western charts with a very similar hat, I might say. And you have Pharrell, doing his Western line. And then you have the 40th anniversary of the Bill Pickett Rodeo. It's interesting that we are all sort of collectively retaking our optics, that we seem to be realizing, hold up, 1 out of 4 cowboys was Black. The very name cowboys came from us. That they like being called Rough Riders, and they call Black men boys no matter what the age. So they didn't give the dirty job to them. So take care of them chickens, boy. Take care of the horses, boy. Take care of that cowboy. Now, when Hollywood glorifies cowboys, they just didn't bring us into play. Even characters that were historically Black were played by white actors. Even Native Americans were played by white actors. I guess if Hollywood says, we know that heavyweights look like Ali and Tyson and Jack Johnson, but Hollywood say, no, they look like Rocky. And we know that martial art is invented by the Japanese, but Karate Kid ain't gonna get to be Japanese. So we're sort of used to the dominant culture inserting itself in a dominant way, and that's just revisionist history. Go back to Posse. When I did Posse, Woody Strode has that opening bit that he does where he says, history's a funny thing. They got us believing Columbus discovered America, but there were already Native Americans here. That's like me discovering your car and putting my flag on your car. You know what I mean? So I get a kick out of re-looking at the American origin story in a more honest way and with love for all. And I think, and I just felt like right now in an election year, with people saying we're so divided, well, we are, I guess, but we were more divided in 1908. You know, many of us couldn't even vote in 1908. So we've overcome before, and I think our diversity can be a strength. And I'd like people to wake up, see this movie, and laugh and not get fooled by someone who makes you some sneakers.
I always say, you got to keep making them so that way they understand it's just not one, one and done. It's like, the reason we got glorified with uh the gang movies is because we kept making more of them. That's all we had. I think if we had continued to make um Western films, forget about the box office. Obviously, as we knew back in the 90s, some of those movies become cult classics in time. And I just spoke to an actor that, who's been in the game a long time. He goes, he doesn't worry about the box office. You can make a lot of money, but if it's forgotten 6 months later, it's all about what's going to take time, like wine. It's like, okay, we remember this. So, like, people remember Posse. I don't know what the numbers were, but they remember it. And that's a testimony to you continuing to work, you know, and they go back to that movie. So when people think about this movie, they remember Posse now. They go back. And I remember the story that you couldn't find Posse on DVD and stuff like that. That's a whole nother story out there. But when you have these actors doing a Western, how much do they have to educate themselves, not only in the Western world, but riding a horse and all that stuff. It's so that way they can, it's not just stunt playing, that they immerse themselves in the characters that you wrote.
Right. So that's very important. You know, when I went to do Outlaw Posse, I had to take people who, luckily, I had some key people who could ride. DC can ride. Mandela, my son, is a cowboy, so he can ride. I ride, obviously. My mom had a horse. And a lot of us ride. People just don't know it, but a lot of us ride. I mean, I got some people from Urban Saddles. These are real cowboys. They don't just ride, they do trick stuff. You know what I mean? So you will see some horseplay in here that you go, okay, these brothers, this is not a bunch of cats getting together and cosplaying or something. This has an authenticity and a grit to it. And I think that, people feel the difference. If you give people a thirsty man dying of thirst, dirty water, he'll drink it. But if you give him clean water, he'll know the difference. I can make a Western that's kind of fluff and just a lot of pretty looking Negroes, but we'll drink it. But if you see something real with some integrity, with something to say, they know the difference. And I think that's one of the fun things. We played this at the Pan African Film Festival. We won Best Film, Best Audience. And it's interesting because the reviewers, and I mix with everything. I got white, black, red, brown, got a gay aunt, got a Trumper aunt. I got everybody in my family. So full disclosure, I have to love with big arms. And I'm fine with that because when the world looks like your family, which to most of us, we got some other flavors in our family, it's a big advantage. So what's been interesting with this, brother, is that you can tell who's reviewing it. Like the white reviewers will say, oh, the outlaws were after some gold. The black reviewers would say the outlaws were tracking down some reparations gold. There's the little,
you spin it. Listen, everybody spins it to their audience to see how they want to play it, depending on who they're writing it for. And what
but they might not even notice it, man. You know what I mean? Like the black reviewer noticed that the sister who plays Melinda, who plays the harp, she's a legit harpist. She plays for Beyonce and Alicia Keys. That's Madison Cali. She's a badass harpist. They noticed that in the beginning she had her hair up because black women had to wear their hair up. You know what I mean? But by the end of the movie, she got her hair free. A white reviewer won't pick that out, but a black reviewer will go, "Oh yeah, I see what." We have a different flavor.
That's your script. So that's the fault of your script supervisor. They're like, wait a minute, that's not how she looked. And then, like I said, when you make a Western of a certain time period, you got to make sure everything is right. From the.
What I'm saying is, I wanted that. By the end of the movie, I wanted her hair free. That's part of the story, is that she's now in a town where she can be totally herself, right? So it was that's it. The way we handled our Native American brothers with and sisters with much respect. I wanted to make sure we did that. I'm not per se Native American, but I understood it, and I said, no, we're going to handle this. We're going to handle them in the right way. So, but there are nuances and subtleties in Outlaw Posse that not everyone's going to get. And if you don't know, now you know. You know what I mean? So that's
You
part
know,
of the fun is that say, can you make action adventure smart? Can you make edutainment? And that's the challenge.
but the challenge is also action adventure plus comedy. So it's a dramedy as well. So
Right.
those are not easy to put together because we want it really to be funny. You just can't throw it in there. We know it's like, especially when I see how long it took in the production to put it together. It's like, okay, compared to your other projects, because this is a certain genre that we don't tackle so often, this is getting more attention than your previous works. Because you don't want to seem like a guy that's doing a movie every year and they're like, these days, there's a glut of product out there. Now that we have a gazillion streaming services, you know, you were fortunate enough to be part of that Renaissance group in 1991, where it was only 17 films and we all paid attention because that's all we had. And so
Right.
everybody flourished, in terms of not only the directors, your first time directing, but the talent involved and the stories involved. Obviously, we've grown from there. We've got a gazillion stories that are being told. So now it's a matter of the marketing it because, whether it's in theaters, on VOD, on BT Plus, Tubi, every week there's at least 10 to 15 new products out there, films, and it's a matter of like, which is the one that's going to get attention. This is in theaters, obviously you're going, opposite some heavy hitters, they're either coming out in theaters or still in theaters like Bob Marley and Dune, but there's a film for everybody. So it's a matter of just
Right.
like marketing it out for everybody to go see, to have a fun time, and you've got a caliber of actors that can hopefully bring in their own audience to
Right.
make a dent, and then if not now, then hopefully you keep marketing it where, you know, they see it later because as you saw with the films you've done, some of it didn't get attention to down the road. It's
Totally.
like you don't
And,
have to see it.
and you're hitting some really good points. And you asked me about what becomes a classic. It's partly, a film that you can watch multiple times and maybe depending on your own growth, see a different movie and see how it plays. And then you have to evaluate what success means to you. Honestly, some people are in it to make money. Some people are in this business to meet chicks. Some people are in this business to feel powerful. I don't need a lot more of this or that. I want to make some good movies. I want to make movies that, and my dad said it once, and I say it too, which is the three loves in life. Love what you do, love and enjoy the folks you do it with, and love what you say with your work. And if those three chakras line up, you're kind of rich no matter what the paycheck is. Now, the my hope is because we did Outlaw Posse, it kind of is a big budget independent. I would put it all on the screen. We took the time to go to Montana, ride and really learn to ride, all that stuff we did. That all of it's on the screen. But the advantage is we told the movie we wanted to tell. We didn't dumb it down. We didn't make it a hip hop comedy. We didn't do any of that. But because I didn't take Hollywood money and I didn't have to take Hollywood notes, you won't see big billboards. So part of it is talking to brothers like yourself. I can make that movie, but if I don't talk to someone like you, the beautiful thing is that you're giving us a voice. And if people get out there and see it, see Outlaw Posse opening weekend, it makes all the difference. Because then the next brother and sister gets to make a thinking film. Can you make entertainment? Can you excite us, entertain us? Don't bore us and don't preach to us, but make something that we go, yeah, we did that, and it's uncut, and I know the difference. That feels good.
Okay, you wear multiple hats. You're a director, writer, and a producer. So where's plan B? What is, we can't live and die on the first weekend. We can't think with that logic. I know everybody's got to get paid, investors and all of that stuff. But like I said, when it comes to, and I always say straight up black films, things take time. Obviously it's not a big budget film, so it's not gonna get the promo as some of these other big budget movies where it's always in your face on TV through a commercial, social media and all of that stuff. So you just got to do it grassroots style enough that like when you're comfortable with the movie you made, and if you get a couple of good write-ups, like listen, it'll find a way for us to see it. You know,
I hope so. I got from your mouth to God's ears, man.
well, like I said, it's like you can't linger on because like I said before, there's so much product out there these days where if we live on its opening week, then look at the product that's on a lot of streaming services where if it's like a Netflix or an Amazon, if you don't see it that first week, next week it's DOA because they've got 10 more other products to come out.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, let's wait it out. Let's play it. It's like, granted, you want opening numbers, any statement is great, because then that tells people, it gets people the awareness that it's out there, and then you got to work it on your own, so my thing is, after you've done this, what did you learn from doing this movie, genre style, directing style, that helps you out moving forward, whether as it is as an actor or as a director or as a producer?
Good question. I don't always know the answers on that until I'm in in a situation and I go, oh wow, I've seen Daddy do that.
Mhm.
Or you know what, I went through that. I just went through that process with this actor, and that's actually really helpful. Or even an interview like yourself, where I think, okay, now how do we play it so we're not so dependent on that first weekend? You know what I mean? So I don't always know what I'm learning until I need it, and then it's there. Um, then there's other things where I'm conscious of it, and I go, "Oh wow, I want to check that out next time." And I think, and that's good. So you know, but what else is good is when I look back at my first film, New Jack City, or my early film Posse, or even my film Badass. I still, when I go back to that time, I say, look, I may have do it differently now, but for what I knew then, did the best I could do, and that's what I want to do. I would rather try my best than and risk failure trying my best than not have tried at all. I would
Mhm.
get out there. I have the opportunity, the honor to show people of color and women and white folks and Native brothers and sisters, all of us, as Dr. King said, we all learn to live together as brothers and sisters that perish together as fools. I have the opportunity to do that right now, and the ability. It's great. I love it. And I'm gonna try to do it my best. But yes, probably 10 years from now, I'll go, I want to do this differently or this and that. But right now, in this moment, man, I'm trying to bring everything I've got to it.
I'm gonna let you go, but congratulations on this. Obviously, another MVP. And but before I let you go, I want to clear something up because I always do a pop quiz for those who think they know not enough about Black films, and I always go, name the five character members of the CMB crew from New Jack City, and people just, it's always weird, and they go, there's a trick question that goes, was Pookie a member of the CMB crew? What do you say?
It was spooky. Well, yes, at some point he became a member of the CMB crew, but he
But was
left.
he's not the five though? He's not the five, the core five.
Not the core five. No, not at all. No, no, no. CMB, Cash Money Brothers. Am I my brother's keeper? In fact, yes, I am. But in fact, speaking of which, I called Alan Payne, and he's in Outlaw Posse. And when you see the movie, you will see some stuff for Alan that you will know. You'll understand.
Yes, he's going to go way back. But hey, listen, continue to make films. We need more films. Obviously, you look at that 91, you, Spike, are the only ones continuing to make films, not as often. Like, obviously, we lost John Singleton. Bill doesn't make as many films, so we need the films to be consistent. Not as often because I know it takes time and, product and the game has changed and all of that stuff. But so long as you make something that's different, like Outlaw Posse, where people can find it's something that's different out there that they can catch, whether it's in theaters or down the road. Hey, listen, it's just a testimony of you continuing to enlighten us with stories. So, congratulations once again. I'm sure we're going to always talk on your next project. Wherever you're at, take care and stay safe.
Thank you, brother. It is an honor to be a griot.
All right. See ya.